Audio recording story, The Replacements. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, my name is Tim. Let me start out by saying that I'm just an ordinary guy. I got a basic life like everybody else, Going to the store, shopping, going to work, like that. The past few weeks' events have prompted me to start writing things down. Maybe I can make sense of them. Maybe somehow I know that deep inside me things aren't going to go well, and I want to leave this record behind for someone else. About a week ago, the morning started out just like any other morning. I got up at 5:30, I started coffee, and walked outside listening to the birds chirping while the coffee perked, and then I went to get ready for work. When I got to work and started my deliveries for the day, when I arrived at the second customer, though, I noticed that the parking lot was almost empty. And something else caught my attention. The everyday sounds that we get used to, so used to them that we automatically don't pay attention. We kind of block them out. Background, traffic, birds, people's voices, that kind of thing. Well, when I turned the truck off, I noticed that there were no sounds. It was dead quiet. Stood there for a moment, and then I kind of just brushed it off. And you got things on my mind, man. I got work to do. I grabbed the customer's product, headed into the building. But somehow it just didn't let me go. There was that unsettling quiet in there. No TV or radio playing, no people talking, nothing. I set down their order and walked up to the counter to get my signature. From June, she's the counter lady there. She's the one who always signs my book. But she was just standing there, like a doll, like a mannequin. She had this blank look in her eyes. No emotion. Didn't even seem to recognize me. Well, hey, June, it says, here I am with your delivery. She just continued to stare straight ahead, right at me, but not seeing me. Like she was looking through me at somebody behind me or something, and in a slow, stuttering voice, she said, signature delivery. Yeah, June, you're right here, Well, she picks up a pen and scratched something. It's just a line. It wasn't even a name. I thought, okay, I guess she didn't have a good night or something. Gave her copy and left, thinking, oh, that was weird. Well, the rest of the day went normal, Well, kind of anyway. I did notice that there wasn't as much traffic as usual. The main roads and the highways were sort of slow, and probably only half the cars and trucks I'd ordinarily see. It kind of made me happy. No slow drivers to keep me from getting on my way, and I made my rounds in record time, and, everything went okay. And when I got back to the main store, I clocked out and went home. Well, that was only the first day. But the next few days, they went the same way, Quiet, and running into more and more people that, well, they seem to be asleep on their feet, and they're not paying attention. And almost like I was talking to wind-up dolls or something. You know what I'm saying? It was really weird. People just acted zoned out everywhere I went. And even in my own neighborhood, it was so peculiar, man. Because up until then, we still had sounds. But then, one morning I went out and there was nothing. No birds, no traffic off in the distance, no lawnmowers running or radios playing or kids shouting to one another or spouses arguing or anything. I mean, just as silent as a rock. Now I really started to feel creeped out. When I went to work that day, there was no traffic. I was the only car on the highway. First, I thought I must have missed a detour sign or something. I was heading into a construction zone, but no, nothing. Well, I got to work and clocked in, got in my truck and headed out to make my normal deliveries. Well, that day my first stop was at an industrial complex. Now, the lot should have been filled with cars and trucks, employees and people making pickups and deliveries and all that. But there's only a few scattered about. What I did see were a few people outside of the buildings just standing there. At first I thought they were there for a smoke break, but they weren't moving, they weren't smoking, they weren't talking, nothing. Well, what the hell is this? I go to make my delivery, I go inside, and every worker's just standing there, not moving. Except when I come in, they all turn real slow to watch me come in and set the packages down. Well, I went to the manager's office. He's an all right guy. His name's Ralph, and I went to speak to Ralph, and I asked for a signature. But it wasn't Ralph. It looked like Ralph. It wasn't Ralph. Had the same loud shirts and the same beer belly and the same gray hair and the same scar on his chin. And it was Ralph, but it wasn't Ralph. He stared at me with that same blank eyes that everyone else seemed to have, and now I'm severely creeped out, okay? Well, I dropped off his copy and left, and when I got back in the truck, there was this radio announcement coming through the speakers, and you know how a radio advertisement is. They yell at you, right? Well, this wasn't like that at all. This was just a flat monotone. To all citizens, please return to your homes. Please clear the streets. You have 1 hour to comply. And it just repeated, you have 1 hour to comply. Clear the streets. Well, I didn't know what was going on, man. Did we go to war or something? Nobody told me? Well, I made it back to the office as quick as I could. Parked the truck and went in to tell my boss what I'd heard. But now in my business there's nothing, man. It's complete silence. Nobody moving around, nothing. Well, I saw two of the workers that I know there, they baggage in the warehouse, and just standing there, still, like mannequins. I went to my boss's office. He's sitting behind his desk, looking like he's asleep, but with his eyes open. He just looked at me and said, "Go home for the day, Tim." Well, Mr. Blankenship, go home for the day, Tim. But Sarah, go home for the day, Tim. Now, I really started getting chills up my back. What the hell's going on, man? Well, I got home. Again, not another car moving. I didn't know what else to do. I called my friend Jay. Maybe he heard something. And he said that the same thing happened where he works. He got to the office, and they told him, don't even start up the equipment. Just go home for the day. Well, what the hell's going on? I didn't have an answer. Well, not so long after that, he comes over to my house, and we figured we'd have a couple of beers and hash this out, right? So he comes over and he suggested we go to see his grandmother. Now, she lived just a couple blocks away. Nice old lady. And we were always welcome at her place. And, she lives in one of those retirement complexes, and they got a pool we're allowed to use. And she's usually good for a couple of bucks to tide us over if we need it. And, like I said, nice lady. Well, while walking over there, we both noticed that, again, no sounds. No birds, no people, no cars, nothing. Damn eerie, man. When we got to Granny's house, at first she seemed to be normal. Greeted us with a happy hug like grandmas always do. And we went in, and she said she'd not noticed anything strange like we were describing. Excused herself then, went through a door, and looked like it went down to the basement. But after 30 minutes, she didn't come back. I got a little concerned, I went to the door and stared down the steps, and they just went down into the dark. I didn't know what was going on, but I figured she could be in trouble down there. I better go check. Well, I started down, and it was like I'm going 50 feet down, man. The stairs didn't seem to have any ending. Well, down at the bottom, sure, they came to a floor, and then there's this little hallway with doors on the right and the left. I opened the first door on my right, and there's a room with a drape hung across the middle. I slowly pulled it back, and there on the side of the room, there was computers, monitors, looked like something out of Star Trek. And in the center is a table. At first I thought there was somebody laying down on it. I stepped closer and was staring at, I still can't quite understand what I was seeing. I know I must have stopped breathing for a minute or two, because I let out a sharp gust of wind and a low moan, because there on the table was a human-shaped something, but incomplete, like a robot or an android. The face was not on it yet. And where there should have been a face, it was just a circuit board with 2 round cameras where eyes should be. The chest was open too, revealing wires, computer parts, metal struts, blinking lights. I was completely frozen. What the hell am I looking at? Oh, shit. What is going on here? I was finally able to move and turn and run up the stairs to find my friend. Well, I went through the house and found him on the couch. Dude, we gotta go. Now. Come on. Get it together. He just looked at me with that blank stare. And he said, "Your replacement is being prepared." That did it. I tore. I screamed and ran out of there. My mind screaming in my head, what am I going to do? What the hell? I got to get back to my house. Weapons. I got guns. I can protect myself. But when I got there, there was 30, not people, robots, androids, dolls, mannequins, whatever you want to call them, just standing there in the door, on the porch, in the yard, blocking my way. I'm trapped. What the fuck is happening? What do I do now? I'd like to say that this is the end. I'd like to say I woke up and it was all a crazy dream, or some sort of an elaborate prank they pulled on me. But I can't do that, because it's not the end. I'm sitting here in the front yard, watching them, and they're watching me. I don't know what I'm going to do. So whoever finds this, if they haven't got you yet, just think the next time you see your neighbor or a friend, a coworker, somebody, a stranger, is he or she what they really appear to be? Or maybe your replacement is being prepared too. Whatever happens, don't say I didn't warn you.